I'm very happy to welcome you, Omer, for our fireside chat. Omer has a background in various marketing, sales, and e-commerce roles in multinational companies operating in different industries. Today, he is leading the e-commerce global activity for Danone with the main goal of accelerating the e-commerce penetration across countries and business units. Today, his team is focusing on delivering growth by different e-commerce channels such as pure players, bricks and clicks, D2C, B2B, and delivery service network. Currently, he focuses as well on right-sizing opportunities and delivering global partnerships to leverage countries' needs. So, Omer, I have a first question to you. In your opinion, how e-commerce leaders can help themselves up to date with the latest e-commerce trends and new technologies?
Yeah. So first of all, hi Sophia. Thanks for hosting me today. Happy to be here and being able to discuss a little bit about our e-commerce journey at Danone. In regards to your question, obviously, the trends are going super fast in e-commerce. 10 to 15 years ago, we had offline to online transformation for the IT business. Then it was the clothing industry. Then we also saw the toy industry. Now we saw as well 5 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, the beauty industry. And now we see clearly for the past 2.5 years, 3 years, with obviously COVID helping that or accelerating it, all the grocery and FMCG brands that are getting accelerating into this new e-commerce journey. So for us, obviously, it's super important that Danone, we announced that we had a very clear ambition to double our e-commerce numbers from 2018 to 2020, which we did. We closed 2020 with over 2 billion in terms of revenue for e-commerce, and we continue accelerating actually this performance. For me, I think that in order to still be a trendsetter, you need to understand the ecosystem, what's going on actually with different technology, capabilities, startups, and so on. So what I do is I block half a day per month where I have the chance to meet different startups that can share with us their technology, different evolution of the technology, and what are the next big things basically in the FMCG world. And I think that this is keeping us up to date. This is helping us also to see probably some stuff that are not directly related to e-commerce in our day-to-day life, but also some other function that can be related to e-commerce, like delivery, last mile delivery, payment instrument, everything that is actually around the e-commerce ecosystem. So I think that this is something pretty interesting to do. I think I like to do it. And on top of it, obviously, participating to some conferences during the year, meeting with peers, sharing also some best practice in some close group can also be a great add to this e-commerce journey for everyone.
That's actually a very interesting point that you made, that you tend to see the new startups and what is going on. As I really do believe that is important to be open-minded and look for the interesting stuff that you might not know yourself, might not be aware yourself. So it's really great that you're doing. Great. So have a statement for you. E-commerce in digital world is now on acceleration. So what are your thoughts regarding this?
Obviously, I think that there's two parts of it. The first one is the digitalization part, and the second one is the e-commerce part. I tend to separate both of them because I think that the digitalization part is not only related to e-commerce, but it's also related to everything that is omni-channel, everything that is happening in store, the consumer experience in store, the everything that is happening on shelf. How to better measure out of stock, how to make sure that we can clearly have a better view on the consumer journey within the store, interacting with our product, and at the end of the day, trying to close the loop between the online journey and the offline journey. So the digitalization of everything that is related to the omni-channel experience and in-store experience is super important, and I think that we see more and more development in that area. We can think obviously about the Amazon Go shops that you can go inside and shop without any cashier. Different retailers across the globe also started developing this concept. So all this digitalization, this new way of consumption for consumers on the brick and mortar side will clearly be something interesting to have a look at. The second part is obviously e-commerce. We saw two main, I would say, trends. The first one coming from retailer, where we see the retailer upscaling their game into increasing their capabilities on e-commerce, developing new infrastructure, updating their website, partnering with startups in order to accelerate their e-commerce development, and being at the heart of their strategy. And this is something that will clearly help also accelerate the adoption of the e-commerce journey. And the second part of it is all the new ecosystem that's being created around the e-commerce. Not only retailer, not only brands like us, but also new business model like quick commerce business model that has been booming in the past months, like all the new startups that are focusing on improving the last mile delivery, like all the different technology that's helping us in order to have a more personalized experience online for the consumer. So this ecosystem of retailer, brands, and startup actually is super interesting to see, and how it accelerated very fast. And at the same time, we see also that they're raising a lot of money in order to accelerate their development.
Yeah, that's actually like so true, because me as a consumer, for example, I don't like, whenever I look at something, I look just at the picture and how it looks like. But as a consumer, you never think that the producer actually needs to think throughout the whole system and look at like different aspects that can be also like digitalized, as for example last mile delivery. So yeah, like as a person, I think like we need to, whenever we consume something, we need to think a bit more from the other terms, just to understand the whole picture. Great. So I have another question for you. How to accelerate online direct-to-consumer strategies beyond COVID-19?
Yeah, so that's a good one, Sophia. I think that, direct-to-consumer, at least for Danone, it's not only a sales channel. I think that we should be clear about that, and we are clear in our strategy. We do not consider direct-to-consumer only as a sales channel. We consider direct-to-consumer as an additional channel. What does it mean? It means that today, our mission at Danone is to bring health through food to as many people as possible. And I like to add, through as many channels as possible. What does it mean? It means that in some part of the world, you'll have a different footprint by retailer, by players. And so it will mean, and it will be actually meaningful for Danone to open a new channel to address directly the consumer. So in some markets, it will be clearly because we think that we need to address some population that we are not addressing today. The second, obviously, part of it is that we have a direct-to-consumer as a laboratory test. I believe that the direct-to-consumer can help us understand different insights from our consumers. Direct-to-consumer can help us to test messaging, promotion, launches, images, etc., and then to scale it. Direct-to-consumer is obviously a healthy source of data that we need as well to develop because of different regulation, because of our lack of data, because historically, obviously, we were working only with our partners, retailer, and they have a very qualitative data sometimes, and obviously we need also to build our own data. So for me, direct-to-consumer is not only a sales channel, it's clearly also a sales channel in some case, because as I said, we need to address the consumer. But more than that, it's also creating a personalized experience for the consumer. And at the end of the day, the only channel where you can master from A to Z all the consumer experience is the D2C. When I'm talking about consumer experience, it's not only online, it's until the delivery, until the after sales also experience. And in direct to consumer, you can control all of them because you have the possibility to develop upfront, obviously, the online experience, and afterwards, the delivery experience and after sales experience. So for me, this is why direct to consumer post COVID-19 will not only be kind of a emergency solution that some brands developed during COVID, but really something to recreate a deep relationship with the consumers.
That's really good idea. Not that something that you invest, something new that you invest in, but you rethink the tools and the strategies that you already have in order to expand those, as you were mentioning with the D2C. That's great. Question, because talking about some positive stuff, but of course we know about the risks that they're there. So what are the current risks for e-commerce and how do you mitigate them?
Yeah, so there are several risks, obviously. I mean, one of them is profitability. There's a profitability risk because both brands and retailers are investing a lot in order to develop those capabilities, those infrastructure, to make sure that their business is coherent, that the consumer experience is good, and that obviously you develop a new entire business model. So we clearly see that the profitability discussion might start to be one when you compare actually all the new initiatives coming from everyone. The second, I would say, it's not a risk, but it might arrive. I guess that government regulation regarding the deliveries. You know, when you're going out on a windy, cloudy, rainy December day outside of your place, and you see the amount of cartoon, the amount of plastic, actually, of all those packs that you receive from Christmas and so on, you tend to ask yourself if the impact on the planet is really positive, and obviously not. So I guess that you will have more and more two kind of approach on that. The first one is brands like us that trying to develop some e-commerce packaging, some specific and dedicated first primary and secondary packaging for e-commerce, and then trying also to have some new services like grouping orders and reducing actually the number of order per week and stuff like that. And then you'll probably have also some government that will start to regulate the number of, I don't know, maybe the number of pack that you can receive. Maybe they will add any tax or something. So there's a lot of discussion around it in different European countries, for instance. And I do believe that it's not a question of risk, it's just a question of how we make sure that e-commerce is not only friendly from a business perspective, but also from a sustainability and CSR perspective.
Okay, yeah, I know that the sustainability is a huge topic, and it's the whole our next target for the next years in order to rethink what we're doing and how we can make it better in terms of sustainability. So definitely. Based on the evolution of e-commerce and changing consumer behavior in the market, what do you see the trend moving for innovation in the industry?
So we saw actually in the past months the quick commerce being developed super heavily in Europe. You know, it's a super crowded, I would say, playground. We see in Paris you have over 8 different quick commerce players. In London, almost the same. Clearly, we will see consolidation. We started to see already consolidation with some big players buying other smaller players and trying to extend their footprint. I think that we're going to continue and see this consolidation over the next 12 months. We clearly, it's financially not viable actually to have so many players in the same area. So probably winner takes all. And we'll have 2, maximum 3 players per market or per region, per city. However, I do see a development in more than quick commerce for FMCG, for grocery, sorry, but really for other goods. So we see more and more actually startup raising money on delivering not grocery and beverages, but everything that is related to other stuff. Can be IT, can be beauty, can be anything else that is not related necessarily to supermarkets. So we're going to see probably those players increasing their scope of product delivered to the consumer, probably creation also of their own white label brands in order to try and find profitability on that area. So clearly, this is one thing that we're going to see. The second one is some retailers are going to continually accelerate their data performance and data project in order to work hands with brands in order to have a better consumer experience, to better target, to measure, and to have a way more, I would say, pragmatic approach for the media part, not trying to, just run millions and millions in media, but really target and make sure that you address the right message to the right person at the right time. So this is the second topic that I see that will be probably booming in the next months. And last but not least, I think that B2B e-commerce will be a very hot topic. Everything that is related to the digitalization, we discussed about it, of stores, of the small shops, big shops, etc. We're going to see more and more omni-channel projects. I don't believe into an online only word. I don't believe in an offline only word. I do believe in an omni-channel word. Now, I think that we're going to continue to see the percentage of online sales increasing across the globe. But at some point, we're going to hit kind of the roof of that number, and it will be switched into more an omni-channel approach, digital sales, and so on and so on. So those are the three main trends that I oversee for the next 9 months. But again, things are moving so fast that it can change in a couple of weeks.
I have a little side question to what you were just saying about like not having straight like physical shopping and not having only online shopping. Do you think that having, for example, some products available only online and some products on site is another kind of strategy that could be used?
Yeah, clearly. For many reasons. The first one is the impact on the planet. Again, as I said, when you are online, you don't need to have a huge secondary packaging. Okay, you don't need to be visible on shelf like you need to be in store. So having specific e-com SKU to make sure that you have the right product with a less important impact on the delivery for the carbon footprint, for instance, is clearly something that we are looking at and other brands are looking at. I think as well that in some occasion you will probably have some e-com friendly product that will fit to a subscription product. For instance, I'll give you like water. Okay, you are basically we have a direct consumer on water and so on, and we have a subscription model there because it's something that is fitted to the online habits to get your water delivered every 2-3 weeks and so on. So those products will clearly continue to be an online get to product, in order to have an appealing and have and build your basket around those products. But at the same time, obviously, in the online world, you need also to focus a little bit on what you want, where you want to drive the traffic, and so on. So I think that you will still have those SKU that are traffic driver for online, but at the end of the day, the differences between both of them will also be related to the retailer strategy as well in terms of profitability.
Okay, thank you very much. What are some tactics that companies can deploy to boost repeat purchase rates and increase customer retention?
So I think that one of them is everything that is related to precision marketing. What is precision marketing is basically when you take the first party data and the second party data and you try to better know the sub-segment of your consumers. And then you can address them different message, different promotion based on their DNA, based on their shopping history, based on what are the different products that they're interested in, and so on. And so when probably you are going to shop online, Sophia, you don't have the same shopping habits than I, and probably we will not also behave the same way to a promotion or to a message. And what we need to understand is what will be the key message for you to drive conversion, and what will be the key message for me to drive my conversion. And in order to do that, we need obviously to test. And this is something that we've been doing with some of our partners, is to try and test different messaging per segment, different promotion per segment. And I think that the personalized promotion is something that is not yet democratized. I think it's starting a little bit, not yet full speed because of capabilities, because of also interest in sometimes. But I do believe that this is key in order to accelerate conversion and develop also a repeat purchase.
Okay, great. What is CSR e-commerce strategy, and how can you provide some examples on that growth trend?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, everything that's related to CSR is at the heart of our DNA at Danone. We develop a specific CSR strategy for e-commerce with different pillars. First pillar is regarding our product. We are aiming to develop some specific e-com packaging, as we discussed earlier, specific e-com SKU, to make sure that, first of all, we have a less important impact on the planet when we are delivering those products. And second, obviously, it's reducing also the weight, obviously, of the product delivery. So this is the first pillar. The second pillar is everything that is related to our last mile delivery. Here we are working with some partners, software provider, in order to optimize the different routes, in order to develop new routes, to make sure that we increase the fill rate of our truck, that we reduce the time on the road for our truck. There's an interesting data point that I saw a few months ago. It's 30%, more than 30% of European trucks are empty on European roads. This is insane, for our planet, it's insane. So what we are trying to develop is to make sure that we have this circularity of our trucks, making sure that they are not coming back empty. And this is why, for instance, in France, we develop a new recyclable project where our drivers are coming back and taking back actually the bottles from the consumers in order to recycle them and so on. So they are not actually driving empty when they're coming back. So this is the second pillar. The third pillar is obviously everything that is related to our content. We try to be as transparent as possible, to provide as much information as possible to really address the consumer need. Here the goal is not to do any greenwashing and to showcase everything that we are doing. It's really just to adapt the content for the consumer where is actually right at the moment. We should really adapt our content per channel, per product. And this is clearly something that we are trying to develop in order to increase awareness of all the CSR topic around the product / the brand / the category that we are doing in favor of improving, obviously, our impact on the planet. And last but not least, it's obviously our media strategy. Here, we're trying to, as I said, trying to really address the right message to the right person at the right time. Not overwhelming everyone with the same messaging, and try to make sure that we are not spending also money just by adding additional layers of advertisement and so on.
Okay, great. A little bit going sideways, because I know last mile delivery is something that is being developed. What have been the biggest challenges for you with last mile delivery, apart from like some cars coming half empty?
Yeah, so I think that there's several ones. The first one is obviously the profitability of that. It means the last mile delivery is still super expensive. Depends also on the market. It's a bit less in Latin America, a bit more in Europe. So the first challenge is to make sure that you are actually optimizing your resources that are in the warehouse and your resources that are on the road. And here, obviously, the challenge was to optimize the roads. Was first of all. Second one, optimize the fill rate of our trucks. And third, make sure, as you said, that our trucks are not empty half of the time. So that was, I think, the first challenge. The second one, regarding last mile delivery, is to make sure that we are also having the best communication with our consumer. Because what is more frustrating than waiting for the delivery, not getting it, not getting information, chasing for information, and not getting the right one? So we are also developing some partnership with some brands and startup to really open a very personalized communication channel with our consumers when we are delivering the product, to make sure that every time we have like a kind of a control tower of everything that is happening for our direct consumer in some market, but at the same time that we have this open communication channel with the different players, with the different consumers, in order for them to really alert us as soon as they want, and then we can obviously reply. We can discuss with them. There's a way more personalized experience for them. So those are, I would say, the two biggest things that we need to watch out.
Okay, great. Continuing on to that topic a little bit, how is the disruption in supply chain affecting e-commerce?
I think that it's what I just said. Optimizing the roads, making sure that we are optimizing fill rate, increasing our CSL, and making sure that we address the best personalized experience for the consumer. That will help us actually disrupt the cost, obviously, of the last mile delivery. Will drop in some market, will increase in other. But yeah, I think it's kind of related.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And what would be, lastly speaking, what would be advice for you from you? For example, for the startups that coming into the world of e-commerce and with their own new product, would you think that they need to look for the partnership for like the big players as yourself has done on, or try maybe to figure out their unique strategy and try on that?
Look, it's a good question. I don't have the answer, unfortunately. I think that some of them might, at some point, with one or two big names, succeed actually to develop a proof of concept that works, that can be shared, highlighted, and presented to all of their new customer. So I think that it worth actually working on that proof of concept. How do we work at Danone is we always do a proof of concept before we go actually for a full year joint business planning or agreement. And I think that this is the way also of developing a partnership and a relationship and making sure that it's a win-win strategy. So this is clearly what we are doing. Obviously, a lot are doing the same. We are not unique, but again, it's really related to the, I would say, the startup DNA, the relationship, also the network that they can have in order to really develop these first deals that will really help them actually accelerate for the future.
Okay, great. And what makes Danone unique?
There's so many stuff. Honestly,
Well,
I think
one,
that probably our mission of One Planet, One Health. We have a clear mission of bringing health through to as many person as possible through food. And I think that this is something that we have in our DNA, and that when we are thinking about the next business model or the next white space to capture, we always think not only from a business perspective, but also from a sustainability and CSR perspective. And we are the first entreprise à mission of the CAC 40 in France. So I think that it's in our DNA, it's in our status. So yeah, clearly, if I would have to pick only one thing, I think that that would be the one.
Okay, great. Thank you, Omer, for sharing your insights. It was really great to have you, and I do agree. that health is one of the most important things right now. And I wish everyone to stay healthy. And thank you very much once again for our talk today.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me. Bye-bye.
Bye.